Welcome to Bridging the Gap, If These Walls Could Talk. All right, welcome back, everybody. I appreciate you joining the show today. I've got Zita with me, our co-host. Welcome, Zita.
Hi, Jim. Good morning. Thank you for having me.
Good morning. Hey, and then our guest is Tanika today. So we've known each other for a couple months, but I'm going to have her introduce herself, and then we'll get started.
Hi, my name is Tenika Deshawn. I am the CEO and founder of Carpenter LLC, also Black Diamond Development.
Awesome. Well, thank you for being on. I appreciate it. Looking forward to having a great conversation today. So I know a little bit about your business, but we want to let everybody else know about it. So if you could, and I'm curious, when you first decided to go into entrepreneurship, what caused you to go down that path? And how did you end up starting the Lady Carpenter?
Okay. Well, I think, for me, entrepreneurship is it's not like a title or a position that you hold. It's more like a lifestyle or a spirit or a personality. I think I've always been an entrepreneur. I can remember back when I was younger, even living in Alabama, always found ways to, earn money or to get what I needed. So I think being an entrepreneur was just more of who I am as a person. But when it came to this construction, I never wanted to start a construction company. I never said that growing up. I was actually trying to help other people get jobs, and I was sending them to the union apprenticeship program.
Okay.
But they never followed through. They wouldn't take the test or pass the test or, wouldn't show up for orientation. And I was looking at them, how much they were making compared to what I was making at the time. And I said, well, maybe I should apply. I'll at least show up. And that made me get into the Carpenters Union as an apprentice. And then I actually, went through a transition in life like everybody does. And I ended up, on my own as a parent, and had to find a way to make things work. And again, that entrepreneurial spirit, I had one thing, and that was my skill. And so I started doing side work.
Okay.
And I was trying to stick with my apprenticeship training, but it didn't work out. But one thing that did work was me showing up and going to work for myself and my family every day.
Yeah. So grinding, right?
Grinding. Yep. Getting it out the mud.
All of the work that you do is in Pittsburgh or greater Pittsburgh area, correct?
Yep. 99% of my work is in Pittsburgh. I've worked other places, Ohio, West Virginia, Alabama, because I travel a lot, but we're here in Pittsburgh. We're actually headquartered on the north side, 700 River Avenue.
Okay.
So, yep, we're here in Pittsburgh.
Nice.
So, Tanika, can you tell us a little bit about what is your specialty? What do you really love doing?
So, I really love helping people and solving problems. That's the core of it. I try to specialize in tile and trim work because I found finished trim was such a challenge to everybody in the industry, and we needed more well-trained carpenters who could specialize in that type of work. But the demand for just great GCs is so great right now. I immediately, as that part of the business started, taking off, I got pulled into GC opportunities, project management, construction management. So right now, as a construction manager, project manager, right now my newest obsession is understanding the financials as a business, and helping my subcontractors do a better job on site. So I know it's not a straightforward answer, but I just love identifying where the pain point is and then trying to come up with a solution to solve it. But right now, I love being in residential. I really enjoy residential remodeling. I'm moving into development with, purchasing the properties, redeveloping them, and then, offering housing to the communities.
That's amazing.
That's great. So, I think the underlying thing as I'm listening is you want to help people.
Yes.
It doesn't matter what form or fashion, but being able to do something to bring somebody else along is kind of what your focus is.
Yes, sir. I struggle with housing insecurity a lot growing up. And even as an adult, trying to find my way, as a single mom, housing has always been a big issue. And so because I see it constantly creeping up and showing up in my life,
Yeah.
I said, okay, I'm gonna solve this for myself. And once I do, I can help other people by being the solution for them as well.
So tell me this, and I'm curious. So the Lady Carpenter was kind of your entry into, and then Black Diamond. What's the shift there? And I think that kind of aligns with the story that you were just telling about getting into more management. And is that also residential? Is it into the commercial space? Where does that fall?
It is definitely a bridge between residential and commercial. Here in a city, anything over 2 units is considered commercial now.
Okay.
So even though it's residential, it still falls under the commercial umbrella.
Okay.
So yes, Lady Carpenter was just me putting myself to work, finding opportunities to make money, keep me and my family off the streets, and to just keep advancing my career. And then as I grew and as I expanded my network, I found myself on development sites,
Okay.
working as a project manager or working with other project managers. And I became intrigued by that also and saw that I could actually implement what I was learning on the bigger sites. I could implement that stuff on the smaller scale also.
Okay.
So now Black Diamond Development is me wanting to build a development team to do entire projects, not just me being part of a project.
Right.
As a carpenter, I own the entire project as a developer and being a solution, not just for myself and my family, but for the community also.
Yeah. So do you have like a niche area of where you're doing a lot of work, or is it kind of bouncing all over the city?
So right now, I have to be very opportunistic because I'm just starting in that arena.
Okay.
But Southwestern PA, Greater Pittsburgh area, we have projects in Wilmerding, we have projects in Lawrenceville, we have projects in Oakland, the Hill District, and so over the next 3 years, I plan to hone in more within the city, I think, but we will go where the opportunity is.
Okay. Is there a distance that you'll travel?
I've gotten invitations to travel to other states, but right now, because I still have a school age kid,
Okay.
I'll be in Pittsburgh for the next 3 years.
Gotcha. Right on. That's fair. Hey, Zita, I'm curious for you. So from a realty side, is there a large uptick for people in the city? So I know pre-COVID, there were a lot of people that were moving to the city proper, downtown into some of the buildings. Is that still kind of the trend, or what do you see?
Very much so. If you go all in the Strip District, all up through Lawrenceville, it's amazing the development that's occurred there. So certainly tremendous opportunity if you're looking in those areas. They're certainly up and through Lawrenceville because you get a lot of the, I would say, younger group of buyers that are out there that are just starting their lives. Excuse me. They would like to be more city because they like to walk places, right? And when you think about where can you walk in this city and walk to a coffee shop, to go to a restaurant, our opportunities are minimal in the city. And I think that some of those older communities like Lawrenceville or even now the Strip, where they have really developed them, and it's super attractive for a young family to move in there, or a young couple, or even a single person or just some friends to move down there. There's a lot to do and not to have to be committed to having a car if you don't want to, and if you work in the city or if they work from home. It's a great lifestyle.
Yeah.
And I find that there's a lot of clients that I have that have maybe they're transitioning to the next phase in their life, maybe if they're starting a family or now they're deciding they want a yard, or a lot of people already have dogs, but maybe more of a yard for the dog and they're adding, their family's growing, then they're deciding to move to the suburbs. But I'm finding there's a huge population that whether they're just coming to Pittsburgh for all the tech and
Right.
or for just right out of school, they're loving the Strip District. My kids, they're like, Mom, I want to live in the Strip District. They're like, it's so cool. There's so much to do there. So
Right.
very much drawn to that. So I think there's tons of opportunity and great jobs for people to live in the city.
I'm curious, Tanika, knowing that, like, how do you get more engaged in markets like that? What do you do to promote yourself? How do you get out there?
So the very interesting thing about Lady Carpenter is that I've been working my community, my local communities, Oakland, Homewood, Garfield, East Liberty, for over 15 years. So I'm well known. I don't do much marketing, which my friends are always telling me, you need to post videos, you need to take pictures, you need to be more vocal and more visible. I'm working on it. I'm working on it. However, I have my hands full right now also, still being a single mom, running this business. And I also travel quite a bit and do some speaking. But as far as being engaged, I'm also part of a real estate group, Life Ventures, Life Ventures by Choice Homes up in Homewood, Penn Hills area, and they service like Homewood, Garfield, like Penn Hills, and they focus on home ownership and affordable housing. So I'm really engaged with them. They're doing a great job of representing first time homeowners and investors.
Okay.
So I'm plugged into multiple arenas, and I say communities, actually multiple communities. So that's one way I stay engaged. Another way I stay engaged is I'm part of a group, Minority Government Contractors.
Okay.
So, as a government contractor, I try to, take advantage of opportunities with affordable housing.
Mm-hmm.
It helps me educate myself on the best practices as a project manager and keep my hand on construction management so that when I do go back to my community and they hire me, then I can, bring that skill from corporate back to the community,
Right.
As I represent them. And just, trying to stay plugged in with what's happening.
Sure.
I need to do a better job of it, but because I'm literally out here in these streets, people bring the problems to me to solve, and then that's how I'm able to, stay engaged and keep the business rolling.
Yeah. So I want to go back to the government piece and being a government contractor. So when you're doing a government project, are there different, like zoning, right? So there's nothing different there. But is there like different levels of compliance to do government work compared to doing just regular consumer or commercial?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Government contracting is, it's a government, so it's regulated. There's a lot of oversight. There's a lot of paperwork. Even invoicing is different. We fill out something called a pay app. And it took me a while to adjust because I was winging it in the streets. I was taking my skill and then trying to apply business knowledge as I know. But because of where the funds come from, each set of funds has their own rules and requirements. So you have to make sure that you are following those rules. It's very different, and a lot of oversight, a lot of eyes on the project. So yes, it is a higher level of accountability.
Yeah. And I'm sure that's just another feather in your cap, right? I mean, as you diversify your portfolio to be able to work in both areas, I think is a big win for you, right? Because then you can say, oh, I've done that before. It's not the first time, work with me for this reason, right?
Yes. I didn't even know I was a government contractor, honestly. When I really, my first contract, I thought I was just showing up and taking advantage of a program in my community. And I ended up working with a prime contractor. And the stuff that I learned and how organized and systematic things were, it really blew my mind. But I learned a lot. And you're right. It definitely does give me an opportunity to add credentials. I learned from the government contracting community that's called past performance. I wasn't even giving myself credit for all the things that I learned and everything that I'd done because I assumed that, unfortunately, because I was learning, I assumed that I was behind and everybody knew this and everybody was doing it this way. And I found that's not the case.
Okay. Interesting.
So how do you find these government contracts? Is it something that you apply for?
Yes.
Or, is there's this platform that you go to and you see opportunities and then you apply for the job essentially?
Actually, yeah. These opportunities are published publicly in databases. One of them is called Instant Markets. They're published in databases, but also each municipality, each agency, they might have their own portal. Our local in Pittsburgh, UPMC is a really big deal, right? So you can actually register in the UPMC portal as a supplier, as a vendor, and then you get notifications when these opportunities come up. There's even a organization called GEICO, and they're on the north side also.
Okay.
You can register with them, and they'll help you pick your keywords. And then when those opportunities that match what you have to offer as a business, you can, get them and analyze them and create a proposal. Yes.
That's intriguing because I guess some of those things you've learned from your position that you
Exactly.
started in, how this all works,
Right, exactly.
to be able to plug in, and then you're seeing all this opportunity. So I think that that's really inspiring that you went from where you were, saw tremendous opportunity to be able to plug yourself into that and really make a difference, and you see there's probably endless opportunity with it, right? You could probably duplicate yourself times 10.
Yes.
With with your team and all the things that you have going on. So
That's my most recent challenge is who do I need to become to build a dynamic team?
Right.
Like I've worked on all different types of projects, heavy highway, commercial and corporate buildings downtown, between the walls, under the floor, building furniture at the convention center, putting up displays like this. I've had all types of projects. My biggest project is the person that I need to become, building myself into the type of leader that can, successfully execute a project, run a successful business, build a dynamic team that can handle, all types of jobs. But yeah, it is. That's my biggest project right now, is becoming the type of leader who can keep pulling this off, and even at a higher level.
Yeah.
you sound like you're doing a good job at it so far. And is that how you guys got connected with Top Contractor School?
Yeah,
Like where
so
your
we started
relationship?
talking probably a couple months ago, and she's since become a member. So yeah, we do coaching and mentorship with her, and starting to work to get more engaged. So definitely, and that's kind of why we're in business, right? Is the back end is where people struggle with the business side. They're really good at the trade side, and we're here to help and coach and help people grow their business and scale their business. For that reason, is that's always the struggle. How do I see that vision? How do I create that vision for me, for my team,
Yes.
the culture, the community, that engagement. So definitely.
I think this dynamic is really interesting because I think all three of us here, right? Like Tanika, you're here you have this amazing skill set and you're truly a visionary, right? And then you have Top Contractor School that can help you bring this to life. And then the piece that our side of it, the Lux 10 side, is to bring all of us together, right? So if everybody is helping each other, it provides the service that we're all really want to give, which is the end game for everybody, right? To give great customer service
Right.
and be able to help the community in a better way.
Yes. Yeah.
So as we wrap things up, I'm curious. So bridging the gap, if these walls could talk. So tell us about the one thing or maybe a couple things that stand out to you on a job. So is there something that, these walls are saying something, right? There's a lot of history here in Pittsburgh. What's one thing that would jump out at you from a project that you've done or people that you were working with? What's something that's memorable from these walls talking?
I think that, well, my most favorite project is something I called the Bubble Kitchen.
Okay.
A family in Squirrel Hill hired me. Squirrel Hill or Shady Side. It's on Shady Avenue, but I don't know if it's Squirrel Hill or Shady Side. They hired me to remodel their kitchen, but it ended up being a kitchen, the bathroom, the basement. I think I spent maybe a year in that house doing different parts of the house because they were still living there, so we had to coordinate everything. But this kitchen, it had bubble tile as the backsplash. It had bubbles in the new cabinets that we installed. The knobs were bubble. On the floor, it was like a custom. It's not. I don't know what the floor was called, but it had bubble shaped.
Okay.
And like cut into it
really? Like
and
an inlay.
overlaid. Yes,
Okay.
it was an inlay. The lights, bubble. It was amazing. That was my most favorite project. And I need to be more confident in my ability to service people at that level. One of my biggest takeaways from this whole experience as a contractor, as a carpenter, as a business owner is, you know, some of the people who I thought would help me didn't. And sometimes assistance and a hand up comes from the most unsuspecting direction, like
Right.
like right here.
Yeah.
Like this is like absolutely amazing for me. For 10 years, all I wanted was a mentor who understood my goals, who understood me, who understood the business and could help me overcome the challenges that I was dealing with on a day-to-day. And, you know, the people I went to, you know, weren't able to help me or
Weren't the
just
right
didn't,
ones,
right?
yeah.
They weren't the right ones. And now I find a mentor, assistance, a coach
Yeah.
from the most unsuspecting people. So
And
yeah.
here we are
here
doing
we are.
a podcast
Yes,
together.
I'm on a podcast.
That's awesome. Well, what's a good way for people if they're looking for you, if they watch this and you've shared it out to a bunch of people, how do they connect with you? How do they get in touch?
Very good. Like I said before, I have to do a better job with the social media and the marketing, but you can find me on Facebook, Tenika Deshawn, Instagram, LinkedIn, Tenika Deshawn. You can also Google theladycarpenter.com.
Okay. Awesome. Well, great episode. Zita, thank you for being on and hosting with us.
Thank you.
Tanika, thank you. Great show. Appreciate you being here. So everybody stick around for our next episode soon to come. Appreciate you joining us. Thank you.